Welcome to Aspire. On this particular program, I want to deal with what I call the troublesome trio, and it's something that I wrote in my first book, Freedom, the Essence of Life. But before we do it, I want to begin with a story. It's an old Zen story, and it has a lot of meaning if you don't think about it, if you know what I'm about to say. There's a story about a master and his disciple who were walking through a village, and it was raining, and after the rainstorm had come and gone, the village was just flooded. And so as they were walking through, there was this beautiful woman standing at the street corner, and she couldn't cross because the street had now become this river. So the master, with his disciple, told his disciple to stay on the other side of the river, so to speak, and he walks over and he says, "Can I help you?" And she says, "I can't cross." So he puts her on his back, carries her across the stream, puts her down. She thanks him, he thanks her, and they go on their way. That evening, and it was a long day, hours and hours of walking, that evening the little disciple was very quiet at dinner and very quiet all the time. And finally the master says, "Do you have something on your mind that you need to ask me?" And the little disciple said, "Yes." He said, "Master, I thought that we were not supposed to have contact with women." And he said, very lovingly, "Are you still carrying that woman on my back? I left her back there many miles ago and many hours ago. Why do you still carry her?" That's the way our minds work. Look at your mind. I look at my mind. Look at how much trivia, how much garbage we keep in our minds. Things that really don't matter, that we carry with us from one life experience into another, into another, into another, and into this one. Play with my mind a little bit. I watch the trivia that goes through that skull of mine. I can remember the day that my very best friend died, but I can't remember and focus in on this moment that I'm in right now sometimes, especially when I need it. The mind is filled with such traps and trivia. We can remember or futurize certain things, but we can't know where we are right now. Isn't it interesting how our mind works? It can remember trivia, but it can't remember the significance of the moment that we are in. It is always projecting ahead or always projecting behind. Never in this now moment. And this now moment is the most important moment that we possess. Now I want you to be reflective with me for a moment, and don't condemn yourself, but look how much of your life has been spent being angry at you. How much of your life has been spent in boredom or in fear. We have squandered many of our life experiences purely on those three things. Let's look at them and kind of seek to understand them, not to analyze them, but to understand them. Let's look at fear for a moment. What is fear? A lot of people think that to be God-fearing is to be religious. And it is, but it is not to be spiritual. There's a big difference between being religious and spiritual. A religious person abides by the religious laws through fear and worry and guilt. But that doesn't mean that he has any kind of spirituality within him. It simply means he is motivated by fear to do what seems to be right. What a terrible way to live one's life. How defacing, how limiting of us. You know, fear is nothing more than a result. It is the result of our logic and our reasoning being put together, not being able to figure out what's going on. When our minds cannot figure out something through logic and reason, fear is the result. Anxiety develops from it. Fear is nothing more than ignorance. Ignorance of ourselves, ignorance of our life, ignorance of how we work and what we are. A lot of people have arguments about fear. I've heard people say to me, "Well, fear saves my life." And I say, "How does fear save one's life?" And I've heard this analogy. When I'm going to walk across a street, if I have fear in me, I'm aware of the danger of the traffic, and I am careful. But I ask you, do you have to always be afraid to be aware of danger? Where is it written that fear creates an awareness of danger? Why can't I walk across the street just simply being aware of the danger and not being afraid of it? Just simply being aware of it. Fear is a feeling within us, true, but it's created from our mind. Our mind not being able to figure things out. How do we heal this? Well, through discipline. We don't like that word, discipline. Most people think in terms of discipline as being doing something they don't want to do. That's not discipline. Discipline is simply not doing the things that hurt you, that hurt me. And if we are disciplined within ourselves, we won't allow our minds to be the liar that creates a deception. Never be motivated by fear. If you drop your thoughts of what is right and wrong, what is good and bad, what is up and down, what is in and out, you have what we call the pure mind, as the Bodhisattva told us. And pure mind is able to see beyond fear, to see things as they are. A story about a man, this is a classic, I love it. A story about this man who was supposedly a mystic, and the king said to him, if you don't work for me and do what I tell you to do, I'll cut your throat. So the man said, okay, fine, fine. He says, as I look in the sky, I see golden eagles. And as I look to the ground, I see the devil. And the king was amazed. He said, how can you see through physical objects like that? He said, fear. When we're afraid, we think we see things that aren't there. They're not there, but our fear gives us the perception that they are. How many of us have worried and fretted over things that never occurred simply because our mind came to a conclusion that was not true? Drop fear. Discipline yourself. Don't let your mind push you around. Let your heart guide you. Let's look at anger. We use fear and anger together, but let's look at anger for a moment. There is nothing more inept than anger. We've all used it. And basically what we use anger for is to manipulate our way into getting things done the way we want them done. But the sad thing about anger is it's addictive. It's like narcotics or alcohol. The more you use it, and the more you get away with using it, and the more you program your mind into thinking that it's getting you where you want to be, the more you will use it. What is anger? It is a feeling of inadequacy. And we use anger whenever we are feeling too inadequate to handle a situation. The next time you get angry, do yourself a favor. Get angry. Get down. Get as angry as you can, and as you are angry, watch yourself. And you will see that the only reason you are angry is because you feel totally out of harmony, inadequate to handle the challenge. That's all it is. Isn't it simple? Yes, we all feel inadequate at one time or another within our life. But to heal that inadequacy is only to let the anger roll over you and don't react to it. Just let it roll over you like a wave. But don't react to it. Harmonize with it. Find a creative outlet. If you sit in stillness and in quietness in your anger, you'll find a creativity coming about. Not a frustration, but a creativity. And if you still yourself long enough, you will see the answer through your anger. Your anger is no longer anger now, it is energy. And it is being channeled to you. The way we use anger at this point in our life is that it takes our problems and pushes them away. You made me angry. It's not my fault. We externalize our problem. Through love, we internalize our awareness, and we are able to see that I'm just feeling inadequate. That's why I'm feeling angry. And I don't want to feel this way anymore. I drop it. Let's look at boredom for a moment. We are a very bored society. You know, it's interesting. The more we have, the more boredom we develop within us. We buy lots of toys, boats and cars and clothes and husbands and wives and houses and all sorts of things to keep us amused. But we're never really satisfied. We may be amused, but we're bored. Boredom is simply an apathy about us. I've been a minister now for 13 years, and I have seen some interesting things. People will come to me and say, oh, I want to study, I want to do the work, I want to grow spiritually. One rainy Sunday morning, where the rain is coming down, and they could get up and go to church or learn something, they say, well, I could do better this morning sleeping in. It'll do me more good to rest. But I guarantee you, if it was Sunday morning and the banks were open, and they could go down and take their T-bill, their $10,000, and put it into an account that would earn them 40% guaranteed, they would be up in a minute. It's all a matter of priority. And that shows us our apathy. When it comes to our physical life, oh, we care quite a bit. When it comes to our spiritual life, it can wait. And yet, Jesus gave us a very interesting insight. Remember the man who built great barns? He came into lots of money. He said, now I have plenty to live by. I'll eat, drink, and be merry. But one day, we are told that his soul was required of him. In other words, There was a problem that came into his life that his money and his possessions could not heal or handle. And then, as Jesus said, where are those things that you have laid aside that you thought would help you? There will come a time in all of our lives where we will have a problem that cannot be overcome with a doctor or money or lawyers or ministers. It will have to be you. Your soul will have to work it out. Where are you going to be? If we haven't practiced, if we have been apathetic about our spirituality, we can only be in a position of great pain and suffering. Boredom is healed by you. You have to care. I can't make you care. I can't stand up here and say to you on television or here in the theater, I can't say to you, you must care about yourselves. I'm not going to instill fear on you either. It's got to be up to you. Some people got to laugh in life. Some people got to cry in life. And some people got to go through life and they never seem to know why. In your heart, you know why. You are here for a specific reason in your living. Don't let the apathy of your mind ever take hold of your life. Care about yourself. You are much more than the things you pretend to be and the things that your mind has deceived you into thinking you are. You are an unlimited spiritual being. You have the right to be on this experience and you have the right to flourish in it. Fear, boredom, and anger. I call them the troublesome trio. They are things, they are blocks that keep us from ourselves and God. It is up to us to make advantages in our life, to take the advantage of our life and use it. Use it. You were given this life experience. You came here, you created your world, you created your life. Don't you care enough to continue it and let it to be an unfolding spiritual experience? Let go of the trivia. The only thing that we are here to do is to practice perfect love. Let there be love in everything that you do. Let there be caring, let there be compassion, and let life bless you. Thank you for being with us. Good morning.
Been thinking about you. Tell me what's new. Seems I'm doing this every day. Here's that feeling again, like yesterday's rain, and just keeping the skies all gray. If this fool rushes in, do you think you could love me again? Come back to me. I'd like to see you come back to me. I'd like to see our love the way it used to be, just like a happy ending from an old love story that everyone's been waiting to see. And I'd like to see you come back to me. Think of me when you feel the cold, or is somebody keeping you warm like I used to do? I wish that you knew that I want you back here in my arms. And if this fool rushes in, do you think you could love me again? I'd like to see you come back to me. I'd like to see you come back to me. I'd like to see our love the way it used to be, just like a happy ending from an old love story that everyone's been waiting to see. And I'd like to see you come back to me.
Welcome to the second segment of Aspire. I'm very, very pleased to have with us actor and singer John Ford Coley. He's written some very beautiful songs. He has gold records, and it's been my honor and my privilege to meet him and to know a little bit about him. And I've asked him on the show for some very specific reasons, and I want to welcome him to you and to our audience here at Unity of Escondido. John, welcome to Aspire.
Thank you very much.
You're a very unusual person. You've gone through the highs and the lows of your life, being a star and having the stardom syndrome and all of the things that were thrust upon you. And now your life has taken a change. And I'd like to know this, and I think our audience would like to know. Out of everything that you've been through in your life, everything that was given to you and everything that was taken away and everything that you gained and everything that you lost, what is the most important thing about your life right now?
Is this really This Is Your Life? We're not really doing that, are we?
No, we are.
Okay, okay. I think probably from going through all of those things, the most important thing that I've learned has been patience, because there's a growth. And if we learn to accept the growth and all the tribulations and trials that come along with it, it's very handy.
You sang a song, Love is the Answer, many years ago. And it was a very popular song. And the interesting thing about Love is the Answer is it was in the middle of all of the disco stuff. And I understand that there was a tremendous amount of controversy as to whether or not you should sing the song, whether or not it would be popular. How did that relate to your life? What happened with Love is the Answer? I understand it changed a lot of things in your living.
Yeah, it did. For the most part, the songs that you hear on the radio deal with love on a very personal basis. You know, everybody wants love. I want happiness. I want peace. But I want it on my own terms, kind of situation. Love is the Answer was more of an abstract song, to where it was talking more as well as a physical love, but a spiritual love for all of mankind, because we recognize the fact that we're all here, and that if we're all seeking love, then why are we all fighting? And that's essentially what it meant to me. It was nice to be able to do something that was just that was more than just the physical level.
After singing the song, after practicing it, as I know you have in your life, could you give us some insight about love? What is it?
That's the thing that we're all fighting over, right? I don't know. I think that love is a very abstract kind of thought, and that, again, what we look for in love is essentially wrong. We want our own selfishness kind of love. But I think that real love is impossible without any concept of God or your Creator. Because at that point, without that, you can't see the beauty in anything. And without recognizing the messengers from God that have come and given us this true love and told us essentially what it is, that society will essentially continue in the way that it's going. Empty.
Empty. Why is it so empty? How do you see the emptiness? How does it manifest?
From my opinion, again, it's the selfishness. You know, I want things on my own terms. We live in a society now that is very small. It's a global tribe, essentially. And if we're always seeking the things of this life, and we're never looking for anything beyond that, it's very empty. And so as a result, we grab something and we continue to go on and grab something else, because this obviously didn't make us happy. I want a 1985 Porsche 911 SC and I'll be happy. And as soon as you get it, you're on to something else. So you can never really be at peace, because those things, as soon as you die, they go to someone else.
Exactly.
And they're not yours anymore.
So it's not the physical things anymore.
It's not.
You've had a lot of them, haven't you?
What?
Physical things.
Yeah, I've had the cars and the Nikon cameras, and what I didn't give away, the IRS took away. So, you know.
So he who gives takes,
yes.
huh? Now where you are, you're starting all over again with your life in a new way, aren't you?
Yeah.
What is changed? What are you doing? Where's the starting point? To someone out there who might be starting in another way, but how do you start?
I think that probably the starting point for me was beginning to realize who I was as a human being. That success really doesn't have anything to do with what you've amassed, but it's who you are inside. If you feel empty, then you've got no basis. Taking that on, I've been able to go into a lot of different fields, because when you've reached a certain pinnacle of success, people view you as that, and they don't view you as anything other than that. As a result, you kind of become stuck in your own glory, so to speak. And it's really very transitory. It's very ephemeral. It doesn't last. And so if you take, well, I've been able to take that and move on into other areas that are just as interesting, because to me creativity is creativity, whether you're writing scripts, doing films, or whatever you're doing, whether you come up with a new recipe for baking cookies. I don't know, it's the matter of progression.
A lot of people would envy you in the position you're in, being a celebrity, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't know why.
Well, you know, I think a lot of people think of it in terms that it's not.
Yeah.
You kind of look at it as a creative venture.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You play with it very sensitively. I don't know if everyone understands this or not, but John is a very sensitive person, and in your sensitivity there comes out a creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Has that changed now? You're now writing films,
yes.
you're writing TV scores, as well as your music. What is going on inside? How has that changed your concept of love?
I think that it's given me a new point to strive for. The things that I would say when I was younger were based at that's where I was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the years, through the trials and the growth and the patience, because again, I believe that this world, this place that we're in now, is a workshop. It's not a place for perfections. We grow all the time. And so where I was when I was 26 and where I'm at as 37
Yes.
are entirely different. They're light years away. What I value is entirely different. It doesn't nullify what I had then, but it's grown, it's increased. The things that I want to say are more of a world-encompassing nature as opposed to, let's say whatever I have to make a buck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're less commercial?
A whole lot less commercial. But at the same time, you know, you still do things in a commercial way simply because if you move over into a level that is too abstract, people simply don't grab it. They just, because of the way that we're educated, they don't really grab it.
And we are conditioned.
We're conditioned
Yes.
to think in a certain way.
We have all these people sitting here, and we have all the viewers out there. John Ford Coley, if you had one thing that you would like to say to our viewers that you've never said before in a song, in a script, or in anything, what would it be? A spiritual lesson, something you've gained?
Uh-oh. You want me to think again?
Open
don't you?
Pandora's box.
That regardless of what condition you're in, that it's only temporary. Whether you're very happy and things are going very good, it's very temporary. And at the same time, when things are going very bad and humiliation is beating on your back door, again, that's only temporary.
So everything is just momentary.
Everything is temporary. It's subject to change. That's the only thing that we can really depend upon, is change.
So being more flexible in our change makes us more flexible in life.
Much more, much more. Because you realize that, again, it is a workshop. Everything that happens to you, I know that things that have happened to me, sometimes I've sat and I've gone, yeah, get off my back, kind of thing. And at other times, when it doesn't seem so bad, you go, you're the best, you know, that kind of attitude. And it's just a matter of keeping the flow going, that everything will change. It depends on where you're at. Again, as a person, success is nothing more than how you're feeling about yourself. And so if things aren't going well for you, it's going to change. Just keep going in the direction that you're going, and it's going to change.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
You're a lovely man, and I enjoyed having you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us.